Housewives Incorporated, KIRO presents Judith Lane.
Hello again. This is Judith Lane inviting you to the Thursday meeting of Housewives Incorporated. Today we're visiting the problem clinic for a minute or so, and we're going to answer some meringue problems. Then in the kitchen we're whipping up a new recipe, honey cookies, a treat for the youngsters. And then we've a report on the newest Paris fashions that have just arrived in Seattle. For music, of course, there's always my man, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Tubby Clark.
And, as usual, another resolution for Housewives, which reads as follows.
We of Housewives Incorporated do hereby resolve to count to 10 and try to be understanding with the husband who says you're always slow when it's time for you to go, can't find his socks or his ties or his studs and says,
Where'd you put all my duds?
and they're right in their place in front of his nose, and still he says,
Where'd you hide my clothes?
so you wait for him to dress with disdain, to try to hurry him all in vain. And you try your patience and rue your fate when he says,
It's your fault we're always late.
so you count up to 10 like a dutiful slave, and then you find out he forgot to shave.
Now, who says we forgot? Just tried a little of that feminine trick, camouflage with powder.
Yeah, they'll try it every time, too. Speaking of friend husband, if nothing else works, here's one way to start him off happy for the day. Just surprise him at breakfast with a plate of steaming, rich, nutritious buttermilk hotcakes made from Griddle Rich.
Now, that's what I call a man's breakfast.
Don't blame you, Tubby. Everybody goes for old-fashioned buttermilk hotcakes, and the cook likes them best of all when they're made from Griddle Rich, the buttermilk pancake batter that comes all ready to use.
No mixing at all.
Not a bit. And incidentally, I've tried them, and they're just wonderful. They're tender and delicious, and as a matter of fact, 2 of us ate almost the whole carton. You know, Griddle Rich comes in cartons just like milk. It's made fresh at local dairies, and it's ready to use right away. You simply shake the carton well, punch it open, and pour onto your griddle or onto your skillet. You can bake as many buttermilk pancakes as you like, and then store the unused portion of Griddle Rich right in your refrigerator. It's quick and it's easy to use, and those Griddle Rich pancakes are really delicious.
Now, that's for sure. You know, my sample carton didn't last long at our house either.
I'll say not. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Tubby and I did get a sample carton of Griddle Rich before it was available at your grocer's, and we personally endorse this one as a really wonderful breakfast. And good news for everyone, Griddle Rich is easy on the budget. And you can look for it now at your grocer's in the brown and yellow carton in the refrigerator at your food store, or you can ask your milkman for it. It's buttermilk pancake batter that's all ready to use. Just start the day right.
Feel fit as a fiddle.
To get a good breakfast, get Griddle Rich. All right, Tubby, let's get into the problem clinic, shall we? Yes, you wonder what to do. And our problem today, we've only one, comes from Mrs. Arnie Mason of Tacoma. And she says she has trouble with the meringue on her pies. She says that syrup oozes out of the top of the meringue, and often her meringue is tough and leathery. The question is, of course, what's wrong, and what can she do about it? Well, we've talked about this problem before, but here it is again, briefly, the answer. Syrup often seeps out of the edges if you put the meringue on the pie before the filling has cooled thoroughly. Then tough meringue may be due to either too little sugar or incorrect oven temperatures. Now, the proportion of sugar should be about 2 tablespoons of sugar to each egg white. As for the correct baking temperature, well, the experts say for perfect meringue, you should preheat your oven to 350 degrees, then bake the meringue from 15 to 20 minutes, or a little longer until it's a nice golden brown. Then be sure, too, that your meringue is spread tightly to the edges of your pie crust. And we hope that'll help take care of Mrs. Arnie Mason's problem of meringue. All right, now, Tubby, my problem is listening to good music.
Is it a problem?
Sometimes.
Well, Well, I've got a nice tune here for the first one by Rogers and Hart called Blue Room.
Let's see, Tubby, yesterday you had a poem, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And didn't you hear that was Blue Room?
That was Blue Room.
All right, well, now I have a poem.
Well,
Made it up while you were playing it. Whether your room is blue, green, or white, we've got the curtains to make it look bright. How's that?
well, that's right.
That's not bad either. Well, we don't really have the curtains, but the makers of Denison's vacuum simmered foods do. And that is a beautiful set of plastic window curtains to put new life and color into your kitchen, bath, or bedroom.
These curtains are made of that plastic called vinyl.
Mhm.
What does vinyl mean?
Well, vinyl means that the curtains are fire-resistant, they're acid, water, dirt, and stain-proof, and they clean instantly with a damp cloth. What's more, they won't fade, dry out, or crack. So, you see, I know that you'll want one or more sets for your home.
And for each set of plastic curtains you want, just send us 2 Denison labels with 50 cents in coin to Housewives Incorporated, care of KIRO, Seattle.
And when you send for your curtain sets, be sure to specify the color. They come in pastels of pink, green, blue, and yellow. And be sure to ask for your Denison foods, your 2 Denison foods, so you'll have your labels to send along with it. Incidentally, those of you who live out in Rainier Way will find a big display of Denison foods at the Owl Red and White Market, and that's at 7269 Rainier Avenue here in Seattle.
And remember,
Treat yourself to a Denison dinner, treat yourself to a bargain. Well, while we're on the subject of good things to eat, I think now's about as good a time as any to go into the kitchen and whip up today's favorite recipe. How's about it, Tubby? Are you hungry?
well, sure am. Let's go.
Yes, and today we're going to make cookies. They're good cookies, too, and they're honey cookies. And unlike most, they don't require any eggs. So if you want to make some cookies for the lunchbox or you want to have cookies for after school for the youngsters, here is the recipe if you'd like to jot it down for honey cookies. First, heat 1/2 cup of honey with 1/2 cup of butter or other shortening. 1/2 cup of honey, 1/2 cup of butter. Now heat this carefully at a low heat to be sure that they don't burn. Then let the mixture cool thoroughly. Let your butter and honey, after they're mixed together, cool thoroughly. Then sift together the following ingredients: 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, and 1 teaspoon of soda.
That's beginning to sound good. Cinnamon and cloves and honey and butter.
Let's go over that lightly. I think they have the half cup of honey and a half cup of butter or shortening. Then sift together 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, and 1 teaspoon of soda. And then add that to the cooled butter-honey mixture. Then roll your dough, make your dough, and roll it to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. And then cut with a cookie cutter into any shape that you desire. Then bake on a greased cookie sheet for 12 to 15 minutes in a moderate oven, and that is about 350 degrees. 12 to 15 minutes in a moderate oven. And there you have very easy to make and very good to eat honey cookies for after school or a lunchbox treat.
You know what I like?
No.
About 2 dozen of those and about 2 quarts of ice-cold milk when I get home from work at night.
What about your diet?
That'll have to wait sometime.
That'll have to wait till 2 dozen cookies and the 2 quarts of milk is gone.
That's right.
Well, what about the surprise recipe? That maybe you better eat that too.
Well, that's always good to eat. I had some once 3 or 4 years ago when I was visiting an aunt in Wisconsin, and I had never eaten it before and was quite amazed and pleased with it because it's an unusual dish, and we have it this week as our surprise recipe because I dug around in a cookbook and found it. I'm very proud of that. It's hot potato salad. What it really is it's a winter variation of the well-known summer picnic dish, potato salad. You use bacon drippings and bacon grease in it. You make it in the skillet. Put all the ingredients in it that you would in a regular cold potato salad. Well, we have the recipe for you, and it sure is good. Just send for it. It's yours for the asking. Just drop us a card and ask for the surprise recipe for the week of September 27th, I think, was Monday, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm not so good on the dates.
Ask for the surprise recipe
that's
for
right,
this week,
27th.
and you'll get it. It's hot potato salad.
All right, now, Tubby, I'd like to ask a question in French.
In French?
Mm-hmm. To our Canadian listeners, I think they're going to turn over under the Canadian Rockies when they hear this, but I'm going to try it anyway. This is for you. Avez-vous essayé French pomme de terre instant?
Oh, brother. One interview with Hildegard, and she's even wearing a beret today. Okay, now try it in English.
All right, have you tried French's instant potato?
Oh, well, certainly I haven't. And housewives, if you haven't, you've really been missing a good bet.
And reason one is that French's instant potato turns out fluffy mashed potatoes in less than 1 minute. Saves work and saves time. Reason two, those creamy, smooth mashed potatoes are the most flavorful, among the most nutritious that you've ever eaten. And believe it or not, they do cost you less than 3 cents per serving. Just think of preparing delicious mashed potatoes with none of the work of washing, peeling, cutting, or even cooking. Just add boiling water and milk to French's instant potato, and that's all there is to it. You'll like those smooth, textured mashed potatoes, and you'll really be proud to serve them to your guests. So why don't you try them today? It's French's instant potato and just new at your grocery. All right, Tubby, let's meet Laura.
Here's a tune I like to play every once in a while so that I won't forget how to play it. It's kind of involved harmonically, but it's a lovely tune. It was very popular a few years ago when it came out in conjunction with a picture that bears the same name, Laura.
You know, Tubby, Laura is one of my very favorites, and in a few minutes I'm going to ask you some special requests about some special music for tomorrow.
For tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Tomorrow's a special day, you know.
Well, yes.
For me, that is.
Yes, I know.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But now, from New York and Paris and Hollywood, too, let's see what's ahead in fashions for you. Well, I think we should have altered our little poem today because today we're talking strictly Paris. This seems to be Paris week. Hildegard is here this week, and I wear a beret today. And
Try to talk French.
Try to talk French, and now we're talking Paris fashions. Well, this week, Frederick and Nelson had a bunch of Paris originals come into the store, and they had a little special showing and invited us to come over. So we went over to see them, and I thought you might be interested in knowing what we saw. First of all, the Empire line, you've probably been reading and hearing about it, is big news from the continent, and that means, too, that it's going to be news, that's what they say anyway, in American fashions, too. Now, the Empire silhouette, in case you haven't heard, is that very high-waisted look. We've seen touches of it in fashion for, the last year or two, but this fall it's a definite leader. Now, the French get this effect in different ways, sometimes with a deep yoke, and the fullness below the yoke starts from about the point of the shoulder blades, and you'll see this mainly in coats and in back treatment. And again, the high-waisted look is achieved in dresses and suits and so forth, evening gowns, with a very wide midriff that starts at the natural waistline and continues up to the bust. Then the treatment, of course, and interpretation of the Empire look depends upon the particular designer, but it's definitely Empire year. Now, the designers whose creations that we saw in the collection there included Christian Dior and Robert Piquet and Dessay and Jacques Foss and the famous ones and so forth. But the skirts on most of them were very slim and looked almost like hobble skirts of the World War I era. And one Parisian suit had an extremely narrow skirt with a short slit in the back. And from the waistline to the hem at the back, the designer had created an extra swinging panel on the outside separated from the skirt except at the waistband. The effect here was to give the illusion of fullness that wasn't really there. It seemed that he sort of reversed the idea of hidden fullness, and of course this is a very extreme one. On the whole, however, the skirts are very narrow, and some might be tightly banded at the knee, remember when they used to do that, with a flare below, or they're banded at the bottom of the skirt. Either way, the wearer has to take short, mincing steps. The shoulders in the Parisian designs are natural. They're still working at that and trying to sell us on the idea that we should use our natural shoulder line. And they have very little padding or none at all. And leather belts are used extensively on everything from coats to evening dresses and skirts. Now, I'm probably sticking my neck out on this one like I did with the spats, but I predict that the Empire look will no doubt have to have its modifications, just like the new look and all the beginning extreme styles before it really will become popular. Usually, when you see advanced styles like this, you find that they are just out of this world, and actually we never get right around to wearing those very, very extreme ones, but we do accept them when they're modified to some degree. The extremity, of course, is to call attention to them, and then the trend is to modify them. Speaking of fashions, what about your own wardrobe this fall? Like as not, you've several dresses or blouses from a few seasons back that are worth plenty of wear if it weren't for their faded colors. And here's a tip. You can make those garments look fresh and new and right in tune with the new fall colors when you use guaranteed all-fabric Tintex.
And when we say all fabric, we mean that Tintex takes care of just about everything.
Indeed it does. It's scientifically prepared to dye every fabric. Natural fibers like silk, linen, cotton, and wool, and synthetic fibers like Celanese, nylon, rayon, and Burberg, except, of course, glass and metal. Nowadays, you don't have to be a fabric expert to re-dye faded wearables and home decorations. Your friends and neighbors are already getting beautiful results on all fabrics and saving money, too, with guaranteed, remember that, it's guaranteed all-fabric Tintex. And remember, it's still only 10 and 15 cents at drug department and 10-cent stores. So why don't you try it, too? It's all-fabric Tintex. All right, Tubby, do you have more of my favorites?
Well, here's just time for a little bit of one of our favorites. It's you go to my head.
Here's a shopping tip for you this afternoon. When you go to the groceries, be sure to ask for Morning Milk's Magic Cream Pie recipe.
It's magic because from this one recipe you can prepare 10 different kinds of cream pie.
That's right. Butterscotch, raspberry, banana, almond, strawberry, and all the rest of the flavors that you like. The secret is having this one basic recipe that's so easy to work with and easy to vary. And to be sure that those cream pies are smoother and more delicious than ever you've ever made, be sure to use morning milk as one of the ingredients. It's the evaporated milk that's extra smooth and double rich. And you'll find it at your grocer's in a spick-and-span red, white, and blue can. So be sure to ask him for your free copy of the Magic Cream Pie recipe when you buy several cans of morning milk.
And now, Judith, before we go, what's this special day tomorrow? I think you should tell about it.
Well, you know, it makes
I
me...
hate to even think about it in a lot of ways.
Well, it makes me very sad to even think about it, too. But we're going to be introducing to you tomorrow a new Judith Lane. And she'll be here to meet you, and tomorrow's my last day. All right, till tomorrow, then, at 12:30. That's Stubby Clark playing, and this is Judith Lane saying goodbye now.
Housewives Incorporated with Judith Lane is brought to you Monday through Friday at 12:30 by KIRO in Seattle.